Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and the fourth MCU Spider-Man film is confirmed to release July 24th, 2026, a release date that places the story of this film directly after Peter Parker's conflict in Avengers Doomsday, which releases in May 2026, and Avengers Secret Wars, currently releasing in May 2027. Tom Holland has confirmed in various media appearances, including a splashy appearance on Jimmy Fallon in recent weeks, that there is a draft of a script that he and Zendaya have read and that they are still working through some issues, but with a firm release date of July 2026, one legally required by Sony to hit, it means that this fourth Spider-Man film must be affected in some way by the events of Avengers Doomsday. So this sequel to No Way Home is gonna also be a Doomsday follow-up, and therefore whatever happens when Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Dr. Doom gets introduced in Fantastic Four First Steps is gonna have some effects on the next Spider-Man movie. So in this video, I'm going to break down what we learned about Spider-Man 4, logically deduce what creative possibilities are still open, and basically figure out how it all connects. So here's what we know about Spider-Man 4. The film is going to be directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings for Marvel Studios and was originally attached to Avengers The Kang Dynasty before Marvel Studios retooled the multiverse saga from being Kang-focused to Doom-focused, a decision that they made at Marvel Studios' annual Palm Springs Creative Retreat in September 2023. Spider-Man No Way Home screenwriters Chris McKenna and Eric Summers are returning to write this fourth Spider-Man film, and like the past Tom Holland Spider-Man films, this film is being made under the specific contract that exists between Sony and Marvel Studios to share the Spider-Man character, a deal that was re-upped in September 2019, which led to Spider-Man No Way Home. Under the original contract, in which Sony bought the film rights to Spider-Man from Marvel back in the late 90s, Sony has exactly 3 years and 9 months after the release of a live-action Spider-Man film to begin production on the next live-action Spider-Man film in order to retain the film rights, and the studio has 5 years and 9 months from the release of the previous Spider-Man film to release the next one. So the clock has been ticking on Sony, who has a production start deadline on Spider-Man 4 of September 17th, 2025, and a release deadline of September 17th, 2027. So if something happens at Marvel Studios where they have to push Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, there is no way Sony will release their next Spider-Man film after September 2027, because for them, that would be the ball game. So that's why, for now, Sony is announcing the Spider-Man 4 release date of July 24th, 2026. That is going to be a very big summer for Tom Holland, and the fact that it is so big is why we are now hearing all of this stuff being reported in the press. Tom Holland is also going to appear in Avengers Doomsday, which is currently slated to release May 1st, 2026, and it was announced that he's going to appear in Christopher Nolan's next film, which is slated to release just a week before Spider-Man 4 on July 17th, 2026. So in July of 2026, you're going to be able to see two huge movies, both starring Tom Holland. Now, The Hollywood Reporter reported a lot of this news in the recent weeks, including the scoop that Holland's shoot schedule was being moved around to accommodate these three productions. Also included in this schedule shuffle is Zendaya, whom The Hollywood Reporter reported as having her shooting schedule for the third Dune film factored into this complex shoot schedule for Spider-Man 4. For what it's worth, Denis Villeneuve shifted his original plans to move on to a different film unrelated to Dune following Dune 2, and now plans to go back to Dune for his next film that shoots next year as Dune 3, perhaps titled Dune Messiah. And the Russo brothers confirmed to Collider's Stephen Weintraub at New York Comic-Con that production for Avengers Doomsday is going to begin in spring 2025. Production for Spider-Man 4 will begin after that in summer 2025. So whatever happens in Spider-Man 4, the film will have to deal with the status of the world that Peter Parker was left in at the end of No Way Home, including Doctor Strange's memory wipe spell having altered the memories of the world to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, which meant erasing the evidence of Peter Parker's legal existence in that world so that he would be a stranger to MJ and to Ned and to Happy Hogan. Also, a piece of Venom's symbiote body left loose in this universe, and Peter now living in Manhattan with a new suit that he sewed himself, listening to a police scanner and fighting crime in the city, a city that also he must co-occupy with Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. In recent weeks, Tom Holland did an in-depth interview on the Rich Roll podcast, going into the history of his acting career, the pressures he feels as a people pleaser, his struggles with alcoholism, and the launch of his non-alcoholic beer brand, Beero. And naturally, the conversation touched on the future Marvel plans and Spider-Man 4, including this moment.
I've been so blown away by how welcoming they've been into that creative room. But, you know, we're working now with the pedal is to the metal. We're trying to get it going as soon as possible. Things are looking great. but there's still a lot of moving pieces that need to come together for us to hit the ground running.
Right.
Tom Holland confirms there that, unlike past Spider-Man films, now he has more of a producer role. They are bringing Tom in for the story session meetings. That's not something they do with most Marvel actors. He knows what this fourth movie is going to look like from all phases of development. Rich then asks Tom what the ticking clock is on this film, the variables, whether it's script, the team, the story. Tom answers that these moving pieces on the Marvel Studios side of the cinematic universe have been the biggest complication.
Obviously, one of the things to bear in mind with Marvel is that your film is a small cog in a large machine, and that machine has got to keep running. And you need to make sure that you can fit into that timeline at the right time to benefit the bigger picture.
An infinite number of machines across the multiverse.
Yes, exactly.
Across the multiverse, huh? I don't know if this response explicitly confirms that Spider-Man 4 is going to be a multiverse story, but I also have no idea how they could avoid it if this film is coming right after Doomsday, and Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom is going to be coming from a separate universe than the 616 MCU. But next, Tom goes into where the script is currently for Spider-Man 4.
So, that's one of the challenges we're facing, and the time in which we need to get that done is a tall order, but definitely achievable with the fantastic people we have working on it now. But my biggest thing is the creative. We have a creative and a pitch and a draft, which is excellent. It needs work, but the writers are doing a great job. And I read it 3 weeks ago, and it really lit a fire in me. Zendaya and I sat down and read it together, and we at times were bouncing around the living room this is a real movie worthy of the fans' respect. But there's a few things we need to figure out before we can get that really going. But it's exciting, and I'm really, really excited about it.
So this is what confirms that Zendaya's MJ is going to be part of this fourth Spider-Man film. And based on that, it's going to have to follow these kids into young adulthood, either at college, and MJ and Ned got into MIT, Peter didn't, and might have to go to Empire State, or it could be a time jump beyond the college years. But there's no way Sony or Marvel could let an actor look at a script unless they were involved with the project, so Zendaya MJ is gonna be in it. Thank you to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. Maybe because it's Halloween season that I've been craving the cool embrace of total darkness, some kind of grinning ghoul, but maybe it's because it's easier to sleep when in total darkness, right? Manta Sleep's sleep masks will give you a darkness rarely seen outside of a vampire's lair, so you can get the best sleep possible, whether you're settling in for an eternal slumber or just taking a quick cat nap. Everything Manta Sleep makes is driven by the belief that it's impossible to unlock your full potential if you're not getting an afternoon nap every day. Manta Sleep's pro-nap movement is about rejecting counterproductive nap-shaming BS and reclaiming your vitality. We are wired to nap. Naps give you energy, focus, strength, and clarity that you just don't get when you grind through the afternoon. Here, I'll show you how to do it. I say something to the rest of the team like, hey, I need to shoot a very long breakdown. And then I come in here and I put on my Manta Cool mask and... See? And now I'm refreshed. It's that easy. Find out for yourself how much better you sleep with Manta Sleep by clicking the link in the description below, and make sure to use new Rockstars for 10% off your order. But really, the biggest confirmation from this interview wasn't really reported on as much. It actually came a bit earlier in the interview when this topic first came up.
The studio wants you to make another Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do. And I want to make another one. I want to make many more. But I want to do it for the right reasons. And now, like I said to you earlier, sometimes I miss the day when getting the job was the win. I am navigating and figuring out what having that kind of power means and that responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'm figuring it out. And I'm speaking to people and asking questions. And, I've been speaking to Downey a lot, especially about him making his return, which is super exciting.
He's back. He's gone on that exploration, and he still came back to do more.
That was a tough secret to sit on, because I have a reputation for ruining things, and I strategically have done no press.
You're a little loose-lipped around MCU secrets.
Yeah.
So Tom Holland confirmed right there that he has known that Robert Downey Jr. is going to return as Dr. Doom for some time, and that he has strategically avoided press before last summer's July 2024 San Diego Comic-Con announcement, just to keep himself from spoiling it. So we're kind of playing a game now of what Tom knew and when he knew it. Sometime in between that September 2023 Palm Springs decision to replace Kang with Doom to the weird interaction that Robert Downey Jr. alluded to in a podcast interview a couple months back, where he and the Russos stayed in touch, and Downey said that he met up with Feige and the two of them went to some secret campus with Bob Iger to see some super secret projects that Disney Imagineers were working on when the deal was made for Downey to come back, to the announcement that Destin Daniel Cretton would no longer be directing the next Avengers film, to the public announcement at Comic-Con of Downey as Doom in July. Somewhere in there, Tom Holland and the Spider-Man 4 team were looped in on that Downey deal. So this would indicate that Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Dr. Doom is going to be part of the story of the script that Tom Holland has read, and that this fourth Spider-Man film might recreate the Spider-Man Homecoming formula of Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. teaming up, or maybe now facing off. Perhaps even part of this calculus of reassigning Destin Daniel Cretton from Avengers 5 to Spider-Man 4, other than, Cretton being like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, is that there remains some story elements that were going to be part of Avengers 5 that will now be in Spider-Man 4. And that, aside from the Marvel brain trust and the Russo brothers and Stephen McFeely, only really Destin Daniel Cretton had any sense of how to execute those story elements visually. Now, Robert Downey Jr. was reportedly paid somewhere around a crazy $100 million to return as Dr. Doom, which, yeah, is a completely bonkers number for any one studio to pay out to any one actor. But it becomes a somewhat more digestible number if this was actually spread out across not just two films, but two films along with major supporting roles in two other tentpole films, Fantastic Four First Steps and Spider-Man 4. And that involvement with Spider-Man 4 would mean Sony would have to kick in some of that payment due to their deal to co-finance their MCU Spider-Man films. So my takeaway from all of this is that Spider-Man 4 must be a story that, in addition to exploring the status quo of Peter Parker's life in the way that it was left in No Way Home, must also serve as a middle chapter transitional story between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Logically, that must mean that Doomsday must be less apocalyptic to the MCU than its title suggests. There has to be enough of an MCU New York left intact to deliver on those narrative promises of a Manhattan-based Peter Parker as an anonymously friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, at least in the first act of the film. So let's pose this theoretical timeline of events. Fantastic Four First Steps releases in July 2025. It's the final MCU film of 2025, and it pivots the multiverse saga into Phase 6. This film could show Robert Downey Jr. reintroduced in the Fantastic Four as a Victor Von Doom from this alternate universe of the Fantastic Four, and the movie might end with him departing into the multiverse, which brings us to Avengers Doomsday, which would make sense to be a Doom-centered story, because the way that the Russo brothers and Stephen McFeely cracked the code for Infinity War was by making Thanos the protagonist. That could be the case for Downey's version of Doom. We could see him transition into God Emperor Doom while we all follow the steps of Jonathan Hickman's Time Runs Out storyline. It could be a story of him destroying anchor beings of each universe one by one so that each of those universes die, and maybe instead of seeing him fight the 616 Marvel heroes, it's a series of battles with Avengers and Fantastic Four from other universes that try to stop him but fail. That would mean that the 616 MCU would be the one universe Doom hasn't gotten to yet, which would leave it intact for Spider-Man 4. That would mean that the Peter Parker in Avengers Doomsday actually might give Tom Holland the opportunity to play an Elseworld Peter Parker, one with a different suit, like the black suit with a spider emblem that was originally introduced in the 1984 Secret Wars cover, or if they're pulling from the 2015 Secret Wars, the white Future Foundation suit from Jonathan Hickman's run. And then that would bring us to Spider-Man 4, which would catch us back up with the 616 Peter Parker, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, web-slinging in New York in the aftermath of No Way Home. But that movie could end with the arrival of Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom to the 616 MCU. This movie could be the one that gives us our highly anticipated reunion moment where Dr. Doom removes his mask to reveal what looks like to Peter as the face of Tony Stark, and Peter, who has finally gotten used to no one knowing who he is terrified when this familiar face says, "Hello, Peter." Ooh. Comment down below with how you think this is all going to play out. We have a busy week of releases here at New Rockstars. Wednesday night will be Jessica and I teaming up to react to the final 2 episodes of Agatha All Along. And because these are 2 huge episodes and us at New Rockstars want to spend Halloween with our kids, we are actually going to take a bit more time to break down these final 2 episodes. And that breakdown will come out on Monday, November 4th. However, we will have a video breaking down the ending with some important details that you missed from how this amazing show wraps up, with a special ending explained video coming out out on Friday. And of course, Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on the Break Room channel, myself and Jessica and Brandon and Zach and Evan and John will all be doing our after show for the final 2 episodes of Agatha All Along. So thank you in advance for your patience, but trust me, that huge Easter egg breakdown of the final 2 episodes of Agatha All Along will be well worth the wait when it comes out on Monday, November 4th. So subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network. Support us by grabbing something from our merch store, nerdriot.shop. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.